so fast that she outfronts the Nautilus ultimate if the fight goes on for too long. And
Zac.
Zac has now been locked in for momentum. The second one this week, actually.
I believe it was actually him that locked it in previously, was it not? Just double check that. Yeah, it was Memento. It's the game they played against LDLC a few days ago. Against against the Icon Karzik. So it's two Zac picks, both coming from him.
Oh, I was gonna say I also think it's really risky on 3. I actually said that even Thresh would be a good pickup here because it's nice into the Nautilus and into the Zac in conjunction. But having a Poppy now to just deal with some of the mobility coming out, that's definitely going to make matters a little bit worse for him. And remember, Sinsara back in the day also used to play a lot of Poppy with Predator as well, just running around facilitating the lanes, playing the game like he loves it.
Yeah, you've kind of given quite a good position for Zanzara here, you almost feel. With the fact that they got the Nautilus as well, obviously. I feel like, yeah, he's well poised here to kind of offer up. He's never really the kind of person, he just wants to run interference a lot of the time, I feel like, and just be that kind of person that doesn't necessarily garner a lead for himself, but just more operates as a kind of a false flag almost, a red herring for his team. And I feel like he's going to be well poised to do that here.
Okay, so Twitch gets banned out, usually one of the counters in terms of how it favors Twitch in the late game rather than necessary. That usually gets locked into it. Having the Ezreal banned away also stops Raxo from going out and roaming so much, leaving Cody Sun quite easily just to chill down towards the bottom side. Main concern I have right now from Mirage is that they're going to have to close the gap from an Asir onto their composition. Right now, they're not working with a lot of range in terms of attack. Yes, you can dash in with the Zac, but you're going to need to find that pick while Poppy is not there. So you need an AD carry that can kind of respond to you on the roam, on the rage rather, so you're not just going to be caught off guard between them if they start the objective and you can't get access to them. 4th pick here coming through should just be a support into, they're going to keep the flex alive on the Poppy and they're going to blind pick the on. We've seen it loads of times. Oh, not blind actually, because GP was first picked.
Yeah. I think this is a lane that obviously Ornn gets bullied a little bit out of, but I think depending on who's playing it, depending on who's piling it, and depending on the composition that's been built, it can be a champion that has a lot more utility, I feel. And I feel like with some of the scaling options that Misfits Premier have already built, obviously Zanzara and Catskos with those kind of late game damage stats output that they can have, can very much understand why they would have gone for this on 4.
And we're talking about range. One of the things that does bridge that, once again, let's take away the Poppy. Let's look at the compositions without the Poppy for the sake of Mirage right now. They have a composition that's all about going all in. Zac jumps in. It enables the Kai'Sa passive. She's allowed to jump in as well. Rangjin on the Rumble is something we have seen earlier as well with some decent roams as well down towards the bottom side. All about the team fighting for Mirage. Keep it simple. Problem is, they're getting disrupted by this Poppy. This one Poppy stops them from moving in. Yes, you can still create zones that needs to be taken into account for Misfits Premier in terms of the Cannon Barrage and in terms of the Equalizer. But the way that Misfits Premier can navigate their fights with a Poppy gives them once again so much space, and space is what you need for your carries like an Asir, like a Seri, and now also an Alistar for the peeling.
Definitely the case so far. And the Rumble Zac is something that we obviously saw them play, like we just said, in that game against LDLC. And Rangjin goes for this rather different setup. You can see he's hovering that heel. There'll be no kind of... We're in our second outing in seeing this. He gets boots of swiftness. He goes for the heel setup, and it's not like quite the similar Rumble we're seeing. It's like the lane bully. He likes to get a lot of roams off, likes to be quite active on the map. And but I feel like it's fair to say that with this composition they've built, the Poppy is really quite a big centerpiece that kind of will disable a lot of what they want to do.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think for Mirage, it's about getting ahead of the curve and finding a lot of plays in the early games. Once you move into the late game, the playstyle often switch, and that's due to the fact that objectives obviously still is a thing on the side lanes, but they get taken and it becomes more about the Baron setup. It becomes more about the Drake setup in terms of who stacked it, and that means it becomes more about these group scenarios. Whereas in the early game, everyone's spread out across all lanes, so if you get priority and you move around and become the group member, quite often the opponent can't respond because they need to pick up these waves. They can't give up the early waves to move themselves forward. But all that theory will be answered when we get into the game. We got a quick promo video and we'll be right ready with the game.
Hello and welcome to the Rift for our final game of the day, Misfits Premier. Going up against Mirage and Gulborg, I think it's fair to say that both of these teams really pining for a win here. One, for entirely different reasons, I think it's fair to say.
Oh, yes. 100%. You got Mirage needing to pick up wins now if they want to make it out of the relegation. Like, it has to happen. It today has to be the start. Well, not necessarily in terms of technically they can still make it out of relegation if they drop a game today. But then moving forward, that's where we start saying, okay, now he has to make it happen. On for Misfits. They want to solidify themselves in the playoffs race. They are in the middle of the pack right now. And with Carmine Corp obviously dropping a game earlier, they got the availability of lessening the lead for them.
Yeah, definitely the case there. I feel like with the fact that those games have been dropped, like you're saying, Gulborg, they are hot on the heels in terms of that pack. They are very much racing up in that playoffs position. So if they take a win here, they will equal Carmine Corp's score and be a win ahead of Redis Academy and 2 wins ahead of Go, 3 wins ahead of Solari. That would put them in a very good standing going into the next couple of weeks. They do see the ward here. It's going to spot out Memento's clear. Means that I doubt any shenanigans can be really enacted by Memento in this early game.
Yeah, let's track what this actually does for the mid game. I hope Rangjun was in experience range of that ward. Quite often it's quite deceptive and it is longer than you'd think. If your solo laner is in experience range of a ward, 3 people can share that experience. And if your solo laner is one of them, well, he will hit level 2 on the first wave, which can sometimes matter a whole lot, and sometimes it doesn't too much. I think it matters the most when you get level 2, you get to push out the enemy away from the wave, and you suddenly have the priority to create plays around the map for your side lanes. But as Chayagi played the range into melee matchup, nothing much happens of it either.
I think this is really interesting, actually, from Memento, the fact that he's walked straight from his red to his blue buff there. I feel like, obviously, one of the downsides of getting that early ward out from Misfits Premier was that his pathing could be somewhat predictable, because you feel like Zach would be always locked into this full clear. But now he's going to be in a point now. If he takes these 3 camps, it's going to be reverse clearing downwards. I think it's going to be rather deceptive as to where he is.
That's the thing. He's still going to go for full clear, but because he started on the bottom side, and suddenly he's going to be down towards the bot side on a timer where he should be on top, that could mess with Misfits Premier.
We have a look at
playstyle a little bit in terms of where they are, but even then, like, the Alistar's super good against a Zac diving in as he can queue him out of the E.
Oh, they are going to spot him out on the top side there. So, no, not quite as deceptive as we would have liked. Memento doesn't really have a lot of different ways he can move into. They haven't actually seen him on Vision, but they've got very good foresight here in terms of knowing that he's not on that Raptor camp. So he must have gone towards that top side. In the mid lane, you can see Memento's gone in here onto Chayek. He lands the Q. This is probably going to mean that Chayek has to flash, indeed. And they knew where he was, but it wasn't enough to prevent the mid gank.
And this is great. We talked about the early game proactivity. That's what we needed to see from Mirage. Also now in Asia not having a flash, that's great. Because he's still not a thorn in the side for Zac just yet due to the fact he doesn't have the Emperor's Divide. So he's not going to be located out of his ultimate. But Sansara also looking for plays on the opposite side of the map. Bad Lulu taking bad trades. Might get punished for it now on the tower.
As the W available has to flash away, Zanzara takes 2 turret hits. Should be a redive here. Katskos is going to have to be the one to tank it up into the wall. Very easy. First blood for Zanzara. Flash away from Katskos. Routine job there. It's actually a pretty extended fight in the bot lane here. We didn't quite get to have a look at that. Raxo is going to be the one that gets that kill onto Woolite. And it looked as if the jungler on the top side, they took an ill-advised 2v3.
Not too sure what happened here. I would assume that the little fight in terms of moving up towards the Scuttle Crab and expect Woolite and Vander to get caught midst in between that. Woolite still has to flash, still has to heal, so yeah, curious to see how that happened.
Definitely would be good to have a little look at a replay there, because obviously as we were seeing the top side transpire, and it was a fruitful boon that Zanzara was able to pick up the first blood there. You can imagine that Woolite and Vander maybe a little bit caught out on the bot side. Memento able to strike back and find a little bit of a return kill. Interesting enough in terms of the setup for this Zac is, for me, gone for the Conqueror. And traditionally you'd see the Zac going for the more tanky setup with the Aftershock, and then you maybe go for the Inspiration second tree. But this is more of a sustained kind of, you get that damage off, probably pairing off with the Demonic Embrace. It actually does deceptive amounts of damage, so I have to say.
We actually have seen more hungrier coming out from Zax in more recent times due to with his old ultimate as well being reverted to what it is now. It's super easy to stack it up with the W's coming through with your Q stacks as well. And all of a sudden the extra, adaptive power and healing just fits very well with his kit. Now, Drake has been stacked up 5 minutes into the game.
If you think back to the most recent outing that I will have seen Zach in, it's actually Pride Stalker, I think, played it in a game. It was versus EG, I think, in the LCS recently. He also went for that Conqueror setup. But yeah, it's very much you go for that Sunfire into the Monarch Embrace. You pick up a Thornmail as well. And you do actually quite a lot of damage in comparison to what you might be expecting.
I mean, as a Neo fan in more recent times, also so Odoamne played in the top lane, actually.
Top lane.
Into the on match specifically. Chayak. Not hitting level 6 just yet. As a rule of thumb for all you players out there, around the 6:30 minute mark is where it hits. Memento can look for a Q and then on towards the ward.
Not flash here, but Raxo's here. Chayak going to be getting taken out. This is the return gank from that early gank that Memento found and burned the flash from Chayak. He's able to revisit here. It's mean that Rangjun going to be the beneficiary of that. You can see that boost of swiftness we spoke about in the pre-game being rushed as well.
And dare we hope, Jake. We've seen Mirage be ahead in the early game so many times.
Don't get me too excited.
Yeah, don't give me hope. Don't give me hope just yet, Mirage. We'll need to see how it still fans out. Remember, Poppy in the group scenarios as well. Still very annoying to play against, but Memento making his way down towards the bottom side. Not on a ward.
He's got 3 points in E. He will be able to get in here. Gets onto Vander. Great W away.
Flash Q.
Only burn.
Not going to happen.
Yeah, wonderful
still
there. Interrupt that.
Good to play around the pressure. Yeah, and you get the heal out of Woolite. It's still a really annoying spot to have to wave in. You can see Vander wants to back. Probably not going to be allowed to, just due to the fact that Woolite can step up here. Raxo still has flash himself if he wants to commit for anything. And now, his support is no longer around. Have no wards either. Woolite, this is risky if you don't back up now.
Definitely think there's a risk assessment that's had to be made here. Not able to break the freeze there. Zanzara in the mid lane. Scouring out a little bit of vision. Fishing for Chayak and the Streamer Shuffle. Good bit of safety shown here from Rangjun. Just as I say that, he goes forward. Chayak's not going to find anything. I feel like that's pretty much all but telegraphed, the fact that Zanzara is there. You can see the ping does come out as well. Not
really looking for anything there, and I think Rangjun quite intelligently understands that while his jungle is on the bottom side of the map, he can't look for plays.
Yeah, it's good from him there. Avoids any sort of opening that Zanzara would have had there. It does mean that it's another window where Mirage are going to be safe here in this early game, and you have to imagine with the Rift Herald coming up now, so much pressure being given by Misfits Premier, you should imagine that Vander probably going to be rotating up to the top side, and Mirage can make the decision whether or not they want to contest that with numbers advantage.
And I think right now, no rotations are really coming through. I think for Misfits from here, they're the team who's starting the crash, so they get to be the one dictating like what they want to allocate their resources as. Usually would see Vander just move up there, and then you'd probably just put Woolite down towards the bottom side as well. You don't want to give Cody Son too much plating and time alone with the tower, specifically not with a Kai'Sa that can kind of get ahead of the curve, which is super annoying to deal with how slippery she is. And that's kind of what's happening as well. You can see they decided to keep Woolite in the bottom lane, move the supports up.
Yeah, definitely the case here. You can see Raxo doing a little gimmick here, trying to get that level 6 monk from the minion wave. Both supports actually doing that. We keep an eye on that XP bar. We can see Raxo's only about 20% away from that. We'll probably get that from the cannon wave. Vander's obviously waiting off to the side. Not getting that level 6 mark, and you can imagine that Raxo might just about ping over from it. It's an important thing to note. Yeah, it does get that level 6. And this could pay big dividends if Mirage do choose to contest this Herald. Rangjun's going to have to be careful contesting this choke.
Don't auto-attack it, Rangjun. Don't get baited by it.
Oh,
that was huge!
Great Q. Great Q there. Means that the ultimate comes in here. Rumble ult. Chayak goes quite low. They're going to try and find a little bit more. Raxo has a hook in a few seconds or so. So be careful about going in here. Great Q from Raxo. Said it before, but finds it onto the wall there. He's not the one that gets knocked up and blown up. And it means that Mirage are now well poised to take this Rift Herald.
Yeah, they're just going to start up the Rift Herald for themselves. No teleport on Chayak either. Topside not too much to do about it. There's a blast on if Zanzara want to fancy his chances, but I don't reckon he's going to look for it. A good skirmish with no kills, but in the end, Memento and Mirage happy about the objective picking up. Zanzara, okay, he's actually looking. He's going to look. Jake, he's looking.
He is indeed. Misfits Premier. Zanzara's in. Here's the Ornn.
He's
stolen it. He's in the pit now. Rangjun doesn't have that ultimate available. Katskos is getting out here. Memento. It's to flash away. A little bit of safety shown there from him. Not entirely sure he had to go for that, but Zanzara, like the thief in the night, he has sent a message from the stars, and he's gone in there and taken the Rift Herald, and that's going to be a big victory for him and his team.
He just walked in there, he took the blast cone, he charged on towards it, and killed the eye with a nice little smite, and then had the flash if he even wanted to go back out of the back wall. Was never a necessity.
It's like that Smash meme. Do you remember that old Smash meme? Did he just walk up slowly? And he indeed did. He just walked up slowly, took the Rift Herald. Shayak, no flash here. Oh, Memento.
Raxo.
Oh, Raxo's here once again. Always the one to help out. Going to be getting slammed into the ward there. Memento doesn't have the ultimate available. Here's Zanzara, going to have the W, going to prevent any dashes, any hooks. Into the wall is Raxo from Zanzara. Wu Light's over the wall now. W not going to land just quite. Cody-san off to the side now. Memento goes into the passage. It's a bad ultimate from Rangjun. It's not going to mean any much more damage is done. More passive tick. Cody-san's in, but he gets knocked up by Vanda. Has to flash away now. Wu Light onto Raxo. A few more ticks though, but Rangjun as well onto Zanzara. Look under the turret. Wu Light dashes away, but he's going to get taken out by the turret. It's quite a messy exchange, but it is a 1-for-2 in the end. And Zara, owned by Cody-san, gets the shield, gets the W.
Got the phase rush.
And did he just walk out slowly, Goldborg? It seems like
he's walking out fast. He was walking out fast. There's nothing slow about that.
Definitely. And time and time again, it's the case that Mirage are trying to find these exchanges, but they just get kind of the show stolen away from them almost by Misfits Premier. Misfits Premier doing a really good job of just dodging and gliding around these quite small margins.
Yeah, but reset timers are quite slow, and that just means in turn, Memento and the rest of Mirage are just going to start up the Drake. And I feel like this shouldn't really have happened. Oh no, he's going to walk in again.
Oh, Zanzara with Ulm. If he can listen to Memento, it could be good. Rangjun quite close to the wall now. Not get stunned up. Doesn't have flash though. Tries to get some return damage, but he's very much caught in the
go
face.
on, Woolite. Hit those auto attacks.
I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of a mini game there, because Rangjun actually was doing quite a good job of dodging out from those Qs. Raxo and Cody-san. Over the wall is Wu Light. Rift Herald has been spawned. Elna Hook comes out onto Wu Light, onto Vanda, sorry. And Zora over the wall now, just
Memento's around.
Memento has that 4 points in E right about now, 3 points or 4 points. Can't quite find it. A few more plates go the way of Misfits Premier, and they're definitely happy with that. Licking their lips as the plates are well and truly cleaned. Memento. I think it's fair to say, Goldborg, the Zac pick, not able to get the kind of potency we would have liked to see it get after its first initial full clears.
I did think he found some good windows at times, but I think moving forward, this is where it becomes difficult. You know, we said while the laning phase was the most important part of the game state, he should spend a lot of time, potentially not full clearing, but trying to find moves to get his laners ahead. And I think he did a decent bit of that in the mid lane, trying to force the flash of Triac, picking up the kill afterwards as well. But that was really all that amended to, and now it's the time where, you know, Misfits composition really wants to get active with the long range from an Asir, Woolite annoying in the background on Seri as well being so mobile, and the Poppy neutralizing all the plays that Mirage is trying to throw at them.
Yeah, I definitely think he was able to, you know, ameliorate at least somewhat the circumstances that unfolded in the early game, but it's not going to be enough to, like you said, entirely amend the deficits that have been found. But I think it's fair to say, quite a big lead despite the early death from Triac. He's still 20 CS or so up.
Now, coming through off their reset time, as you can see, Sansaro, he knows they're ahead. They're trying to get aggressive, trying to steal away some of the blue buffs. Vanda making his way up as well, so is Raxo. Gonna come down to a smite fight, but no smite on Memento.
Oh, it's gonna be Triac that picks it up, actually, strangely enough. Memento's in. No W available from Zanzara. Doesn't land the Q either. It's gonna be another time that Misfits Premier is so cheeky in the way they're navigating the map. Sort of finding their way in. They get what they want, they get out. Got what they came for. It's another blue buff. Goes the way of Misfits Premier.
Yeah, it's just some extra time for Triac to just keep that meta sustain up, letting him enter the push that Rumble has. Rumble, obviously a champion that has the luxury of having no mana, does overheat every now and then, but point is, his wave clear doesn't really come at a cost where he needs to recall if he spams too many abilities.
Yeah, I really feel like Misfits Premier just old as brass in a lot of their exchanges in terms of how they're able to just get in your face and take what they want from you. And Mirage, I feel like have to have more answers going forward to the brazen bull that is in the China shop. getting those plates and whatnot, charging and surging their way through Misfits Premier. Not exactly far ahead in the lead, and none of these plates have fallen, but they should be able to get this first start of the game just about here, I'd imagine.
Yeah, a little late one in terms of what we're usually used to, but of course the Rift Herald had been used down here earlier, and I think Woolite, he's taking his time with it.
Oh, Chayek,
Right.
Good maneuver here.
Taking his time with it so he can deny as much CS from Cody Son as possible. Not the biggest CS differential between the two AD carries. Hasn't really been the name of the game, and I mean, all in all, every lane except the mid lane is quite even with their opponent.
Yeah, I think entirely, but I think we're in a position whereby we talked about that scaling options offered by the Ornn here. We talked about how Zanzara, despite how far behind he might fall, despite whether he takes personal sacrifices, not to say that he has fallen behind particularly, he will always have utility in this composition, and I feel like you compare that over to Memento. If Zanzara plays his position well, he's negating a lot of what the enemy jungler can offer, a lot of what... Well, actually, question for you, my color. My color, oh color. Can you answer a question for me?
Yeah,
Does Poppy W block Kai'Sa ultimate?
Yes, it does. You can actually
Okay.
hook Kai'Sa out of ultimate, you can block it with a fresh play as well. It's not an unstoppable, it's just so fast that you rarely ever see that.
That's something I'm looking forward to maybe seeing unfolding. Oh, it's going to be the E in the wall onto Rangjun. Rangjun has both summoners available, going to flash over the wall now. It's a good little pick. It's going to mean Rangjun gets sent back to base. Rather hurt. And again, it's the audaciousness of Misfits Premier, just constantly finding Mirage in their side of the map. They're going to get the Rift Herald now, second one of the game for them. Hopefully translate that into another tier 1 for them. See, Woolite.
Just chilling right now as Misfits. They barely have to do anything. Their composition is so easy to play out. Was that Sax tried to engage? One button is being pressed in the W from Sansara. Even in this Drake pit, they can try and look for this fight as Mirage, and they probably have to because the gold lead is so even. Just out of desperation, they don't want to let the game throw too much out of the way.
Memento in, gets blocked out by the Poppy. We spoke about that interaction so many times. He gets taken down to around 50%. It's going to be Woolite gets engaged on into the Rumble Equalizer, but no equal has been found apart from Vander getting taken out by Bad Lulu. Away from the fight is Catskos. Memento is still in the pit. They found the advantage, but one horn having been used, Mr. Premier be hard poised to respond.
Zara knows mine.
Known for their impudence this game, but here comes the arrogance we spoke about. Misfits Premier, Mirage. There's the Azir ult, Chayek. Bad Lulu finds Catskos in the back of the line there. That's Zanzara getting taken out. Cody Sun going forward. Woolite, look at him here. Double kill almost immediately gets knocked up, and it could have been better. It could have been well polished here. Misfits Premier take a bad fight, and suddenly Mirage are back into the driver's seat.
Not a single E was hit, but it does not matter. The team fighting was there in favor for Mirage, and they finally pick up a victory for themselves. Not only that, they get the second dragging on the board, an Infernal to pad some of those extra stats. And I think it was just in a position where Mirage was so isolated. Woolite getting hooked at the start of the fight really split that fight apart from them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very key to bring attention to. You sort of see this. Memento.
Here we go.
Here we go. I love this Zac Chroma, by the way. It looks like Margin
I'm
Boo.
useful, guys. Never mind.
I love this skin because it looks like Margin Boo from Dragon Ball Z, but you know.
Oh, it does.
But in any case,
Still
you see
think
the
he
fight fold
manages to
out
pick
here.
up. Still think he manages to pick up some good cues afterwards in that exchange where, you know, the Azir is just never really in a position where he's going to be doing too much damage here. And I think we're still waiting for those 2 to 3 items to come through before it really amounts to that difference where Chayek is going to, you know, melt through your HP bar if he's left unchecked, which of course he should be with the range advantage.
I completely agree with you there, Gilborg. You see the game now in Mirage's favour, but we've seen them in this position many times before. They've been a couple K gold up around this 20-minute mark. And I think one of the constant criticism of them is they don't do enough to exacerbate that. They don't do enough to balloon that wide open and really absolve the fans of any worries. But I don't know if they can do that. It's a good smite from Memento. Gets the blue off. He's now actually ahead of Zanzara.
Maybe Sansara has something to say about that on the top side. It's got the Rift Herald. Just going to open that up. Not too sure about that one just yet. WW coming out again. Now he can look for the E if they're looking.
And Misfits Premier going to need to get out of this area.
That's why.
They're able to abscond themselves away from that initial engage. Bad Lulu Cannibal Barrage. Might have had something to say about that exit, but it's an exit that is secured. Flash forward into the wall here. Memento's going to have E available in a few seconds or so. Does have that passive, I believe. No, he doesn't. Catskos is going to be the one who takes him out there. It's a good little pick from Misfits Premier. They bounce back, and they've got that Rift Herald going. Ornalt comes out. There's more of a disengage, or rather, not disengage, but more of a dissuading tool. As I don't know that this is going to get its charm off here. Zanzara's forward. Hextech Flash of the Wall does make sure that Rift Herald finds its target.
They're just out of the way. They clear out the blue side jungle. They get 1 kill for their troubles, and at the same time pick up a kill with the Scuttle on the exit. So they still can just go for the reset. They have all of their jungle to clear up once again. But the question is, what do they want to achieve when they get out of the map? You now have 2 outer turrets, topside being very low. You don't really play towards the side lanes too much. 2 minutes on the Drake. That gives you a very little timer to open up the topside if you want to move Chayak up there. Because he's going to be the one man you move around to where you want the objectives. You can see they're moving down towards the bottom side, meaning they would rather have their bot lane in the mid lane, Chayak down towards the bot side, set up for the Drake instead.
Setting up for the Drake. Going to be very important. Obviously a minute 40 until that, and you can see the vision line. Very much centered in the bot side for Mirage, I think it's fair to say. See that pink, lone pink in the top side jungle, or Misfits Premier. Vander, I'm going to fancy his chances too heavily in terms of catching out Bad Lulu and bursting him out before this dragon comes up.
Zara still quite beefy, looking like he's going to move towards that force of nature, eventually get man's played. Usually what he builds on pretty much all of his speed champions,
if we
like
can,
the Skarner as well. If
we can very quickly just look at the goal, because I think a key thing here is how close Azir is to his Rabadon's death cap. If you can actually get it on a base before this next fight, and you can see he's only about 100 gold there. So, you know, if he can get to that with one more wave, you can see him on the Krogs right now. This will be a very crucial buy, I feel like, Gorbo, for this next fight. I
think that's actually a really important highlight. He's just going to get one to those 1200, and that should be enough to pick up the Rabadon's death cap.
So 1100. 1100 you need.
1100, perfect. So should be able to pick that up. Does have teleport, even if he wants to stay for another wave. 40 seconds on that Drake. So yeah, I think he's going to pick up this wave. He goes for the recall, picks up the Rabadon's death cap. You got good TP wards as well for Kakas, so he can apply pressure on the top side while the rest of the team sets up for the Infernal Drake.
Absolutely. He's going to be dishing out so much damage. A little bit of a fight here. Zanzara's had to use the ultimate relatively quickly. He's going to be swinging Cody Sun back to base. It's a gauge from Oh, God, Chayak. We just spoke about your Rabadon's death cap. He might be capping himself a death of his own here. Unfortunately, Rangjin has to go into stasis here. Memento on the backside here. Catskos is the one getting aggressed onto. Rangjin gets unresponsive. Wulite could go massive here. Wulite finds a double kill. Bad Lulu going to have to flash over the wall here. Wulite, can you go over the wall? How many seconds available until that? Flash forward from Memento. Memento has the passive. Wulite going to take a few more seconds to secure himself that triple kill. On a killing spree is Wulite, and continually, we spoke about Chayak being one to highlight there, but it's continually as the fights go on. It's Wulite that is just a surge. It's a complete flight of the bumblebees, flight of the Valkyries for Wulite as he's Wagnering his way into this game.
Yep, second Infernal goes over to Misfits Premier here. They both stay on 2 Drakes apiece, but Wulite, that you just said, passing 7 kills, while Cody Sun is doing his best 007 impression on the opposite end of the spectrum.
That's good, because we had so many James Bond references in the previous game. Are there any others that we haven't used?
As well.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
is there any more that we can? I was
waiting for the Diana so I could get like the Moonraker.
Oh, that would be good. God. I'm trying to think. I don't think there's anything. Well, you know, I think there's one that we could use, but it's probably not fair because I think everyone in this game are probably quite high elo, so I don't think diamonds are forever. I would grandmasters are forever, but
Oh yeah.
So that was a real reach. Speaking of reaching, Raxo reaches onto Vander here. A little bit of an engage here. Ultimate not quite coming out here. Zanzara takes a lot of damage from the equalizer. Chayak has to use that ultimate in response. With the Baron available, it's kind of a bad pick. You'd imagine going the way of Mirage, and Zanzara's the one who drops down. They're going to get a tier 1 turret. With a lot more control on the map, and Mirage find a good fight for themselves. They might even look to set up around the Baron as well.
Yeah, if you start this Baron, you only do it to turn. There's no way you want to try and stay on that while you're against an Asir and a Seri with W available. And I think Misfits from here, they understand that as well. They know there's no way they're going to be going to it.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. Fortunately, I think if they did go on towards that Baron, they would have to live and let die, because it would be a very bad position for them to be in. Raxo over the wall here. Hook onto Vander. Vander going to be queuing him up there. Ultimate has come out onto Wu-Like. Can they find him? A lot of space to work with here. Ramping up here. Raxo finds a hook, but it's not going to do too many favors. Cat's immediate stasis. Shaik up to the side here as well. Going to be able to do a lot of consistent damage. How much more can they find? Flash forward from Zanzara. He's trying to find a W. He's trying to find an E into the wall here. Equalizer out in response is not going to do enough, and it's 2 kills for Misfits Premier. They turned at the drop of a hat, and they're going to be able to turn on towards this Baron here now. And Mirage have overstepped here. Overzealous engage from Raxo that really just ends up being not something that they needed, not something that they wanted.
Mirage trying to contest this one. They need to be careful. Chayak still has the ultimate available if they want to turn for it afterwards.
Oh, Vander's done a good job. They're going to just take the Baron now. Can they chase? There are 3 for 4 members here. Cody's son has the ultimate available, has that flash. They've channeled the bases now. They're just going to get out here. You can see Chayak, but Chayak going to be able to work with a little bit of space here, and Mirage not really able to find anything. And this is well and truly the game back in the driver's seats of Misfits Premier. Sorry.
Yeah,
you see this continually.
Yeah. Raxo.
Great W from Vander, obviously, as well. But here's where it really starts to look bad. Raxo gets the hook in here. Ornalt comes out. And it's never going to look good from this point onwards. They're really caught between a rock and a hard place. In too deep. And the sum of their actions going to result in a Baron.
Yeah, through goes Zanzara. Finds the perfect engage afterwards on Rangjin and just sets up the purple win for the rest of the team.
Yeah, you can see the Baron gets taken out here by Misfits Premier. It means that although the gold lead not too much, they're going to be able to get these tier 2 turrets. That's going to build upon their board acquisitions, build upon that portfolio, and really start to put port to starboard, really start to sink the ship that Mirage have built for themselves so far, because I think it's fair to say they're in pretty tough waters in the next couple of minutes with that dragon spawning in. Will be the sole point for Misfits Premier if they can build upon that.
And now just playing it 2 lanes. No, of course, we see it so often with the Baron. It's the easiest one to go for.
You can see Memento at this point. He realizes he's never going to get that prime initial engage, so he's just going off to the side and trying to land that E. This is a man that has been well and truly broken by the Poppy W.
It's unfortunate circumstances, but either way, it is what happens if you go for a blind pick draft. A good champion in those niche situations where he fits in for the backline diver. That's clearly what Mirage wanted to go for as an identity with the team. Having a Kaiser too, but with the Poppy Slam, it just became too difficult.
It's going to be bad Lulu. Sent back to base. They're going to be able to just about get this turret, you'd imagine. A few more Qs from Wu-Like will seal the deal. Just in advance of that dragon, like in the aggression to see here. Moving in here. Memento onto Catskos. Can't imagine he does too much damage here. Does dragon back in here. Fancies his chances actually in an extended trade. He's keeping Catskos away. Engage from Raxo. Raxo is going to get absolutely blown up here any second now. Vander's the one actually. Takes quite a lot of damage here. Cody Sun's in. That's an absolute slither of HP, and that's the Poppy W that we've spoken about being so potent before. That's going to be Memento. Memento Mori to the side now, and Ornalt as well. Ornalt comes in. Who does it land on to? Bad Lulu and Raxo. Hello, Bad Lulu. Goodbye, Bad Lulu. And now, Misfits Premier never really have to even contest. They might even just look at the end here, call for Rangjin with the equalizer.
Coming out to burn them a little bit.
This should be the end of their onslaught here. Cody's son, he's getting out-traded. I think it's a very telling sign when you saw Cody's son ultimate in there previously, and he does about 3 ticks of damage. Practically breathes, you know, it's not the blowtorch, it's more of a breath of air that he's only able to dish out onto the enemy front line. And Kaiser has really not accelerated in this game in the way that we'd like it to. It's not the 007, it's a agent of chaos in this game, not able to coordinate itself in the way that we would like it to. And Misfits Premier, although they don't get the end here, they are going to be going on towards the dragon and getting their soul.
It's 007 in the beginning of the No Time to Die movie. It's not James Bond, a different 007.
Yes, different 007. I think it would be remiss of me not to ask you who your favourite Bond is.
Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan. That is such a based answer.
It was what I grew up with. Those were the movies I was watching.
No one would say that.
The world is
not enough.
The world is not enough. That is one of my
That's great
favorite.
from you. I love that from you. I've got a soft spot for Sean Connery as well, but Pierce Brosnan obviously a very great Bond. I think it would be fair to say that, you know, talking of Bonds, Mirage very much in a bind right now. I think the bonds have run out, the investments have run out, and sort of all the intention investments that were made towards the mid lane in terms of getting that early flash has not really accrued any sort of a financial benefit for them. They're very much staring down a 3k deficit at the moment. And Misfits Premier look poised beyond that 2 dragons, like 1 dragon away from the soul. Don't quite have the Baron now, but they look well to march their way into the base now.
The bindings without the Isaac, not what you're looking for here. Completely different game now. Bot lane inhibitor has fallen, playing on 2 lanes now, top lane and mid lane being pushed in. No Baron though to facilitate this push, so what this is really only going to do is just keep the pressure around. They're still waiting for the Baron to respawn in just 1 minute. They want to just push them in as much as possible. Come through with the poke, play around with this here, and slowly but surely chip down the turret.
Absolutely, chipping away, slowly but surely. See, we were like not afraid to take a few turret hits there, as you see. Kaskos in the mid lane, getting that little wave in there. Want to make it so that Bad Lulu has to respond to it. We're just waiting for this next wave now.
Yep, and it's just going to be impatient about it. You can see once again, bottom main is pushing in with super minions. Someone's going to have to respond to that at some point. It doesn't have to be this wave, but when they do, we can push forward.
Horn trigger is pulled. It's going to land onto Cody's Sun here as well. Big engage, blocked out by the Poppy W. Memento goes into stasis here. He's going to flash away. Elyandra take just enough. Counter engage from Raxo. Guardian Angel, Wu Light goes into. What a stopping power. Rangjun has to flash away here. Shyx in. A lot of damage onto Cody's Sun here. A lot of damage onto Rangjun as well. Obviously taking out Raxo. Do they fancy their chances taking any more now? Important to note, they do have that bottom wave to play with. But they're centering their attentions more so towards the Baron. They want to get a clean win here. Clean, decisive. No point to be indecisive about it. Rather you cut incisions into the heart of Mirage and make sure that you take this game all the way.
This could be dangerous. They need to just one-shot this Baron because they're all low HP bars. Equalizer is coming back up. It's down to half HP, and yes, it should just be out of here. They should be able to burst it, go for the resets, and just look for that last middle lane with the inhibitor still being up.
And you have to imagine, I don't think this game even goes to the next dragon. I can imagine them just marching in the base, play the 2 lanes here. The dragon's not that important. We've seen previously in this game, they've just marched up the base. You can retreat back to the dragon. You don't need to play around the setup necessarily. Just march these waves in, play around mid here, maybe have 1 person kind of guarding, but you're always going to have to, if these waves are synced up, and get them set up in the side lane. You can see the Mirage solo laners doing a good job of stopping that from being the case here. But they've got to do their due diligence in terms of just stopping the onslaught that's going to be coming in through the front base. Sometimes what you've got to be afraid of is the person that's knocking at your door, Goldborg, and it's not the back entrance you have to account for sometimes.
You tell me, but moving in with the mid lane now. Turret has been deployed. Super minions still coming in through on the top side. Stop the pressure on the bottom side, but it's still these 2 lanes that continues to be a nuisance. And now the abilities are not going to be enough. 2 cannon minions in the back. Can look on the super minion wave as well. I think we are watching the beginning of the end for Mirage.
Yeah, this indeed seems to be the beginning of the end. It's going to be Raxo, I believe, who gets channeled back to the base there. Equalizer comes out, trying to equalize some of the deficits found in the waves here. You see Memento just trying to clear it out because once that Nexus turret falls, it really could just be the end of it. Ornhole, it does land onto Bad Lulu. Raxo going to get taken out here. It's a great little fish from Shyx. Big fish, little fish, cardboard box. And it is going to be members of Mirage that are getting sent into cardboard boxes. An untimely grave for them. They never really had a chance in this game beyond a certain point. It is Misfits Premier who are going to move to 7 and 6. Teleport. Where is that even being sent to? From Shyx. Sorry, not Shyx.
They wanted Rangjun.
They wanted Rangjun. They did manage to get it in the end. And Misfits Premier are going to equal Carmine Corp 7 and 6 after a rough 3 weeks, and they're going to be mounting their aggression, mounting that momentum that they found during that Super Week, and continuing to find these wins. And now in quite a comfortable position, I think it's fair to say. Only about 2 wins away from that sweet spot with a couple of weeks left to play.
I agree. Like, that was such a difficult start for Misfits for the split, and it looked dire. They looked like they were going to miss playoffs with the kind of, what do you say, like, transition towards the level that they had. I think towards that Super Week that you do mention, that's where it all came together. That 3-0